welcome to episode 131 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We're recording on September the 26th, 2021. My name is Eric. I'm the host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, I witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events, and I started a small preparedness company to help people be better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
My name is Alan. I'm a safety trainer, first responder, security expert, and overall safety nerd.
I'm Scott, a first responder splitting my time between Southern and Northern Ontario. I like learning things, and I don't accept that things will always carry on the way they have, just because it would be convenient.
I'm Jeff, based in Central Ontario, target shooter, soon-to-be ham radio operator, and general overall handyman.
Been saying that a lot,
only you
Jeff.
soon to be for so long.
I'm just waiting for the examiner to get back to me with a date and a time. So
You've been saying that a lot, too.
Just hold your knickers in a knot.
At least you showed up, unlike Ian.
Oh,
That is true.
Just saying.
That's very true. Very true.
Hi, I'm Brad. I'm from Eastern Ontario. I've been prepping as best I can since the ice storm in '98, and I think I'm getting better.
Hey, if you want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, you can buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch at prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds help keep lights on and the backup generator fueled.
If you are enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and make fun of Ian on Facebook and submit a review on iTunes. We also want your feedback, good or bad, or even if there's just a topic you want us to cover. You can reach us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, unless you're Ian.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those episodes, isn't it? We have some free of charge content for you in this episode. Yeah, the dad jokes continue.
Other people have been paying us for other content?
No.
Oh.
No, they haven't.
Okay.
Well, I guess the Patreons have. So,
yeah,
sure. We're going to start off with some preparedness-related news articles. Next, we'll let you know what we've done for our preparedness this week, which should be a little bit of a smaller segment since Ian is not here. Then we'll get into the main topic, zero-cost preps. Look at that. We're 2 minutes, 23 seconds in, and we've slammed Ian about 17 times.
Ian does not have carbon monoxide poisoning, just for the record.
All right, let's move into the news.
A couple of articles here. One from the BBC. We can all stop pretending now that we can all stop pretending now because Facebook is in fact tracking everything, including whether or not bad words have made you angry and what the result is. The article goes into a little bit more detail, but it's revolving around those, do you know someone who is being too prepared and other anti-extremist language. It started in canning groups and it's kind of spread out to the rest of the community. But if you have a specific algorithm of having been accused of violating Facebook rules at some point, and you have been subjected to extremist content such as jams, jellies, and mustards, then you may in fact be a hazard to society, and the government's coming to get you. Other article I got from the CBC. Apparently, I'm just using state-sponsored media today. Alberta's former chief medical officer of health is screaming that things will go badly if they don't ship sick people around the country and lock down the province entirely for 4 weeks. This is the same people that were saying 2 weeks to flatten the curve just, 78 weeks ago.
18 months ago.
Yep. We've got a comment in the live chat from Kyle here, just asking if the next episode can be with a special guest, Ian.
Isn't that what they do when they write characters off of a show? Their last episode, they're a special guest.
We would invite said special guest, but I have a funny feeling he just wouldn't show up. So. But
I do like that we're calling him special.
We've always called Ian special. He's been our special friend for a long time.
I've got a news article here from the Toronto Sun. Just in regards to two charged after an unruly anti-vax protest at the Eaton Centre. So I threw this in here not to stir up a conversation of vax versus unvaxxed or mask versus no mask or whatever, but just the fact that these protests are starting to pop up and they're getting a little bit more in your face, I guess is the best way to put it. So just, keep your eyes peeled and be aware of your surroundings, because these things pop up quickly and they pop up in popular areas for people to be, and you never know what direction they're going to go. So
take it back to our civil unrest episode when we were talking about talking about what happens when protests get out of control. And I forget what episode that was. I probably could have done a little bit more research on that. But we definitely support your right to peaceful protest.
Oh, absolutely.
We do not support your decision to riot or make other people's lives miserable because you're unhappy.
Yep.
That's
100% it.
Is he trapped in his bunker?
Obviously, coming from the mainstream media, shocking that their title or way that they portrayed as an anti-vax protest. They interviewed a few people, and I mean, yeah, there's definitely anti-vax people there, but a lot of them were, I'm vaccinated, but I'm anti the passport. I'm anti having to show my vaccine passport, and I think that's what's got a lot of people upset. And I'm one of them. I've made the decision that I'm not going to restaurants, or I'm not going somewhere where they're going to force me to divulge my health information. My personal decision, and I'm fine with that.
You're part of the problem, Jeff. Wait! You need to get on board. You need to get on the team.
Jeff's always part of the problem, no matter what it is.
I'm not sure either. I've always been a problem. Just ask my mom. So I've got a couple of articles in there that kind of relate to the same thing, which is Europe is going through a fuel crisis right now. Both types of fuel, both gasoline for their cars and also natural gas for heating their houses and doing stuff. Basically, they're kind of like Canadians and other people were with the start of the pandemic and the hoarding of toilet paper. There's gas stations are running out of gas. People are going and filling up, every jerry can they can find. And they're basically saying we have enough fuel. The issue is we can't get it from the refinery to the gas stations because we don't have enough drivers. So they're looking at, options of, funny enough, bringing in the military to see if they can drive trucks. Or one of the other things I found kind of funny, let me see if I can find the exact wording here, but they want, Boris Johnson says he's allowing his ministers to relax immigration rules and let up to 5,000, what they call lorry, which their definition of a truck drivers into the UK from overseas for 3 months until the end of the year. So
pick me.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how they think that's really going to work, or if they're coming in from somewhere, don't they have to quarantine for 2 weeks? And anyways,
no, that's racist to make them quarantine.
But
the difference is, like, between them, right? Like, that's an actual problem. We have a real issue getting fuel from the refinery to the gas stations. Unlike here in North America, where people were just buying toilet paper because somebody started panic buying everything.
Yep.
At least that's a real problem to overcome. I give them a little bit of respect for that. I mean, a little bit, but give them a little bit of respect for that. Slightly more rational than hoarding toilet paper for a respiratory virus.
You mean that's not rational? Oh,
yeah, that's true. And the other article just touches on their natural gas shortage. Funny enough that they get a lot of their natural gas from Russia. I don't know if that's a conspiracy or not, or just whatever. But apparently their prices, their supply is in short, and the prices have skyrocketed about 130% in the last 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow!
Just as they're coming up to winter to have to heat their homes, and so.
So in other words, the sky is blue, water is wet, and gas prices go up and when it gets cold. Check.
Yep.
I know of a potential solution. There's a technology. Never mind. I'll get into that later.
in other news, sales of wood gasifiers have gone through the roof in the UK.
I didn't say it. I'll let
9
you
minutes
guys
and
say
30
it.
seconds.
I didn't say it. That was all you guys. I was talking about propane. Why? What are you guys talking about?
Yeah. Okay. You just wanted to come back and say wood gasifier again.
So I threw an article in just talking about the nursing shortage that's been predicted for years and is now turning into a big crisis in Ontario. Obviously, the healthcare system has been under a whole lot of stress for the last year and a half. And as a result, there's some huge numbers of vacancies that are impacting the system's ability to provide surgeries and catch up on some of the things we're behind on because of all of this. And the reason I put it in is just that whole concept of the crumbles. It's not necessarily a giant cataclysm. It's just everything getting a little worse. And, the assumption we've all made that we're going to have easy access to healthcare. Well, maybe it's not, it's our continuity bias, right? So anyway, that's why I threw that one in there.
No, that's a good point.
And let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. There's tons of nurses. There were 176 in Windsor, 130 in Kingston that have been suspended because they either are not vaccinated or they will refuse to divulge their vaccine status. So they basically suspended them for 2 weeks and said, you can sit at home for 2 weeks and not get paid and coerce you to get the job. And if you don't get it, then we're going to fire you. So I don't know where they think the nurses are going to come from. I know in Quebec, they're offering like an $18,000, call it a bribe, call it a signing bonus, whatever, for nurses to come to Quebec.
Yep.
Either to come back to work or to start there. It's $18,000, but you have to have both shots.
Yep. Yeah. And it does say come back to work because I don't know. I wouldn't do it for 18,000, but maybe there's some people some nurses that would have been suspended and said, you're going to fire me, then I'll get the job and I'll come back and you pay me $18,000.
Yeah.
Then what happens to the ones that have already done it and are working and
they'll have the option. They'll have to be
exactly.
Yeah. That's going to go to court. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. You're being called out in the live chat here, Jeff, just so you know. Robert wants to know if you've taken your ham test yet. Because we haven't poked at you enough. Yeah, the answer is no, Robert. He is not.
The answer is no, he's not. The answer is also Ian is still absent.
Do you want me to get you kicked off Facebook or not?
4 weeks in a row.
Well, shall we move in what we've done lately for preps?
Well, I got some parts and booked gas fitter for my generator to be on natural gas. I'm excited about that.
I thought it ran on wood.
Wait a minute.
Not yet.
Well, this is the one that I can run the welder to build a wood gasifier. So
okay.
So the chicken has to come before they wait. Anyway. So I also learned that diesel can be used in the place of home heating fuel in a pinch. Disclaimer, this isn't my house, but someone asked me.
You can do it. I wouldn't, but you can do it.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So it's kind of nice. I know some people who know about this kind of thing, so I put a question out to the group here and got some answers for the friend who was asking me, and I got to learn some stuff. So that always makes me happy.
My first house was heated by oil when we moved in, and we ran out. We were running it dry. We were running the tank dry because we were changing over to natural gas. Unfortunately, we hit a cold snap in February, and we ran out about 3 weeks earlier than expected. 3 weeks earlier than expected. So we had to improvise, and turns out in the city there aren't a lot of gas stations that sell diesel. At least there weren't at the time.
Oh,
nope.
Yeah. So anyway, they're doing the exact same thing, changing it over to natural gas, and there's no point in filling the oil tank in the meantime. So if diesel will get them through, perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Some fuel delivery places won't deliver to you unless you're getting a minimum of 150 to 200 liters in your tank.
Oh, yeah.
And most places will not deliver diesel into a furnace fuel tank.
Jerry cans it is, because
Exactly.
if they put 150 liters in, I'm assuming that means in a month's time they're going to have to pay to pump 100 liters out.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So why bother? Like you said, Scott, just get jerry cans.
Yep.
3-4 jerry cans. You can usually get them for a double jerry can, like 2 in a pack at Costco for $40 or less.
The good news is one of my sort of mag friends around here has a bunch of diesel jerry cans, so I've borrowed them from him in the past, and I happily will borrow that favor again, and it helps him with gas rotation, so or fuel rotation. Yeah,
Nice.
Well, I guess that makes it my turn. I was surprised, but I guess with Ian not here, things move a little quicker. So, I picked up a gently used dual fuel gas propane generator. Got it for what I consider a very good price. So I couldn't turn it down. Nothing wrong with having a backup for the backup. And I just did a little bit of food prep.
Nice.
Fantastic.
So what make did you pick up, Jeff? How big?
I picked up the one that everybody else grabbed, the Furman, the 4500 one that I put it on the chat there last week. It was on sale at Costco. So long story short was, by the time I was in a position to be able to purchase it, it said it was sold out. And I'll discuss a little bit later on the thing. But Facebook Marketplace, there was a guy, he had one, basically the same price. Through our negotiation, I found out that he had misplaced just the propane line. And I said, well, it's going to cost me some money, so you need to take $50 off the cost of the generator. And he hummed and hawed and said, okay. So I picked it up for $450 cash.
That's an awesome price.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. For myself, been stuck on the road for work, so that's always fun, but takes away from my ability to really do much else. I did get a chance yesterday to squeak in a contact via 2 meters. It was kind of fun, though. It was relayed via the International Space Station, so they have a crossband repeater on there. So as it flies overhead, you can actually bounce a signal off it and make contacts with other hams back on the ground. So that was fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's incredibly cool. Are we pausing the show when the
it flies back overhead here, I think, in about 10 minutes or so. So we were talking about pausing the show and doing the contact or turning it into the ham radio podcast for a minute and then flipping back. But we'll just let it fly overhead and do its thing. Yes,
I'm sure they're listening.
I forgot my my pocket protector and my beanie hat for this evening's episode, but yeah. And then,
you know exactly where they are.
Well, I know where they are. Yeah, I put them back on when I do the ham radio thing. Yeah. And then while on the road for work, I popped in to have a quick visit with Scott.
Oh, it was quite lovely.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm gonna play Ian for the day. I made some CGN deals and I split a bunch of wood and I worked on my well pump. No, I did none of those things. I did, however, attend some search and rescue training last weekend, which was a ton of fun. Use that as an excuse to get all of our various pieces of hiking kit and camping equipment laid out in the living room, organized into groups and categories, identified a few gaps in what we needed and what we wanted, and then put them all back together. It turns out that get home bags and vehicle emergency kits have a lot in common with search packs and 24-hour bags. So got those things taken care of, ordered some stuff because it's fun. Spent a lot of time studying for my next firefighter certification, which is just an absolute ton of math, which we all love. We did have some nasty rainstorms come through this week, which is about 4.5 to 5 inches of rain in 24 hours. That's a lot of rain, and had all the things in place, but didn't end up needing to use our backup pumps or our backup power. But we had it all ready to go. Don't tell my wife. I was really looking forward to actually trying to get some of this stuff, and a little bit disappointed when it didn't happen. And on that happy note, we just about done the wiring in the garage. So I'll have an airtight building later this week, and hopefully I'll have permanent power in there fairly soon. Did some fuel rotation, which seems to be a common theme according to the show notes, and that's about my week. It's been a fair bit.
Very nice. You can be Ian for this week.
I'm gonna grow a really nasty goatee and repeat myself.
Jeez. So he may not ever come back.
Ooh. Well, I did some fuel stores. I rotated some fuel stores this week, and I took delivery on a quarter of a beef that I ordered. I went halves with my sister, who's got a contact who does beef quite often, like slaughters quite often, and we went half and half on a half a cow, and I got my share. And then I found out today that the farmer had forgotten to put in 2 good-sized coolers worth of ground beef, so I just added more tonight to my stores and made some shepherd's pie earlier in the week with it, and damn, it's good.
There's nothing
Nice,
like
good
that,
beef.
like fresh from the farm beef. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'm not trying not to go back to buying store-bought beef ever again. I want to get in contact with this farmer through my sister and find out how do I get a constant supply.
Well, it's
really good.
And when you buy it on scale, it's just so much cheaper. Like it's completely inarguable. It's better quality, it's fresher, it's easier to get.
Yeah, there's no
generally.
loading up the antibiotics and everything else in it and all that crap.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh.
it is just so. It's just so much better in every measurable
yeah.
way.
Oh yeah, very good.
Do you want to run with the wide area mag, Scott?
Absolutely. So we all love learning things. Presumably that's why we're here. There's lots of intelligent people. I'll let you guys judge who on the panel counts in that company. But there's lots of smart people out there with skills and talents. Indian. With skills and talents we all want to learn from. Our whole concept, the competent man, and filling out your mag with smart people. So we want to hear from you guys at feedback at Prepper Podcast. We always keep talking about fuel storage. So how do you store your fuel? What's your rotation like? What is your actual or goal level? Do you have one full tank of fuel for every vehicle plus generators, for example? We've had some people tell us about some of the gas pipeline stuff from a technical side. So we'd love to hear from you guys about this stuff. Don't be intimidated. You don't have to be an expert to come on the air. Just tell us about things. Even if it's just off the air, give us a great website, share what you do. These are the things we want to know. And considering how often we talk about fuel, we figure someone out there has to have some good things to contribute. So please drop us a line, feedback at prepperpodcast.ca.
Awesome. All right, with that, let's move into the main topic, shall we? So we're talking about low cost, no cost prepping.
We got lots of stuff that we can do that doesn't cost a damn thing. One of the barriers that I've heard from other people when they say, "Oh, I want to be better prepared for whatever," but it's so expensive.
Yep.
It can be. Right? If you want to have every toy out there and you want to be, 100% prepared for every contingency and have 5, underground bunkers that are in different directions and a helicopter to get you to each one, yes, it can be expensive.
Absolutely.
But most of being prepared is a mindset and a plan. So a lot of things that you can do that don't cost a penny. Step 1, you can plan different routes home. Most of us drive the same route to and from work every day, or the places that we normally go. What happens if the road is closed? Do you know another way to get home without having to rely on your GPS? Generally speaking, I would say have at least 3 if you can. Plan meeting places with your family. If you have to evacuate or you can't get home, right? If somebody's home, somebody's at work, you're in different parts of the city, different parts of the province, where are you going to meet? And how are you going to get there? Usually you want to have in multiple directions. You want to have a plan. So whether you have to evacuate east, north, south, west, whatever it might be, get a map, get yourself a map and figure out how you're going to get to each place and figure out how you're going to communicate so that you know where to meet, which meeting place to go to. Have an out of area common contact so that if your cell towers are down, maybe you can get a message to a party that is not affected by whatever emergency you have. You can have, and then how are those people going to communicate? Make sure that they know how to communicate with everybody else in your grid, in your network. Have a bug-in playbook. What are you going to do if you have to if you get stuck at home for 2 weeks to flatten the curve, 4 weeks to flatten the curve, 72 hours because of an emergency, whatever it might be, right? We had just at random earlier this week, all the roads in my municipality were closed for only about 12 hours, but it could have been a whole lot worse if the rain had followed the predictions. Maybe you're just going to be stuck home for 24 hours. But where we live, we couldn't have gotten to the local grocery store. So we have a plan for that. Have a bug out playbook. What are you going to do if you have to leave? Whether you have 48 hours notice, 24 hours notice, 12 hours, 1 hour, or 10 minutes. We did a whole episode on that with Hughes going back a while when he had this great 24-hour plan or this great 2-hour plan. And then he had a wildfire encroaching on his property and they had 10 minutes. So there's lots and lots of options. Plan out your food and water storage. Even if you don't act on it yet, have a plan. Where do you want to be? Where are you now? Where do you want to be? A good inventory of what you have, a good layout and organization. Maybe we talked about that last episode, 2 episodes ago, whatever it was. And then what are your gaps? Identify the gaps. That doesn't cost a penny. Go and split firewood. Be like Jeff. It costs nothing but beer and time.
Don't be exactly like Jeff.
I mean, not exactly like Jeff. Go get your ham license and then go split a bunch of wood.
Oh, touche. Good one.
and while we're talking about firewood, take down some of your stuff into fire starter materials, into the kindling and tinder that you need to actually get a fire going. It's invaluable. One of the biggest mistakes I make when I'm lighting fires is I try and go from match to logs too quickly, and so having that stuff ready to go, I keep it in bins in my shed so it's dry. It's always off the ground. I always have dry kindling and tinder, and we make fire starters out of old candles and birch bark, and it's fantastic.
You're a fireman. You only know how to put it out, not light it.
Oh, that's not true at all. The exact opposite of that is true. Firefighters are the way they are for a reason.
Dryer lint, wax, melted wax, dryer lint, and a little bit of wood shavings and a wick. Yep. Put it into an egg carton, and I've used that, and they burn for a long time. They burn hot. Absolutely.
Yep, they burn great. They do a great job. So just doing that, right? If you've got all the things that you need to do that, spend some time doing that. Start scanning all your important documents and the photos you wouldn't want to leave. If the absolute worst happens, you have a fire in your house. You can't replace some of those documents. If they still exist somewhere, they can be reproduced. Mm-hmm. You can either do that with computer-based scanner. So if you've got a nice flatbed scanner, it probably does a better job. But even without that, there are all kinds of free apps out there. I know the one that I use is called Genius Scan, and it will allow me to take pictures of my documents, turn them into PDFs, and then I can email them to myself, or I can store them on my phone or in Google Drive, or a couple of other options. So you can do that. You can make sure that you have backups of everything. Again, that doesn't cost a penny. Organizing your files and important documents, again, so you can find what you need when you need it. Organizing your family photos and sentimental items, again, find it when you need it. Keep an inventory of preps and all the stuff in your house. An accurate inventory is hugely valuable in the event of an insurance claim. If you can prove that you had it, it's a whole lot easier to replace.
On that point, a friend of mine had his truck stolen, and he was asking me, as the neighbor across the street, if I had any pictures that happen to have his truck in the background. For exactly that reason, the insurance company was asking for proof.
Yep. Did you actually own this thing? Right. So the more proof you have of that, the better off you are. Yep. You can take a walk around your house and your property and inspect it for damage, potential dangers. So looking for trees or deadfall, looking at damaged exteriors like siding, roofing, eaves. You can fix that stuff before it becomes a major problem. Inspect your foundation on the inside for cracks. Check your floor and roof joists if they're accessible. Make sure there's no damage to them. Make sure they're not rotting. So there are all kinds of things you can do. That list right there would be a month's worth of stuff to do if you happen to be in Alberta and you happen to be completely locked down for 4 weeks. That would be a great time.
He's got a good point in the chat here. Just to catch up on the checking out routes to get home, etc.
Yeah.
Keep a list of areas to avoid as well. That way you don't get blocked in. Great point.
Yeah, all the places in your daily area or in your regular areas that you go that you hate because the traffic is terrible.
Yep.
Plan a route around them. Take a different route every time. Make sure you know where the landmarks are so that you can find it without having to think about it.
And then it looks like Chris in the live chat is looking to take a page out of Jeff's book and just find out who around you has a good stash and where they keep it.
Eric's place, and I know exactly where it is.
Come and take it, Chris. I dare you.
Yep, because Pierre does follow up with that.
Yeah.
Yep. Make sure they, the whole defense thing.
But at the same time, it does make really good sense to get to know your neighbors, which also doesn't have to cost anything, and make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody has everybody can be of mutual assistance. I think we maybe talked about that once or twice before.
Maybe once or twice. Yeah.
Kyle has a question there. Keep it on a file or keep a paper copy. Yes, both. Absolutely. The old saying of keeping things in a Ziploc bag in your freezer still applies. Your freezer is really well insulated, and in the event of a fire, it is unlikely to be that the contents will be damaged. It's also a really good idea to keep it on a cloud-based drive, Google Drive, Dropbox. There are a few others.
Of course, while implementing the most appropriate encryption level for whatever it is you're listing.
Yes, absolutely. The most appropriate. And if you and most, I know my my VPN has a cloud storage as well that is supposed to be more private. So I have an opportunity there. I've also emailed that list to a third party, so that in the event that all of my things go away and I can't remember my passwords or where I've stored it, I know that I can call somebody else and have access to that.
Yep. That's all about your level of comfort as to where your files are going and where they're being stored.
Yep.
Yeah, well, password protect them or encrypt them.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. So there's all kinds of options there, and I think we've talked cybersecurity a few times, so that would be a good episode to go back to, which is also at no cost. And review that, figure out what the best level of the best, 2-factor 32-bit encryption, random password generator, whatever it might be, solution is right for you, and where you're going to store that so that it is private to you but accessible when you need it. Whether it's a safe deposit box at a bank or another person's house or bury it in your backyard, whatever it may be. Keep it somewhere else. And hopefully you never have to get down to your very last one.
Here's got a good point. It says order a bunch of USBs and then store them in each bag you have, and maybe at a good friend's place in case anything happens.
Just remember where they are so you can update them as you need to.
And encrypt them too. Don't assume your friend's not going to look at them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll take the propeller hat off now.
Even better if your friend doesn't know it's there and they can't look for it.
This is true.
I love knowledge. I think knowledge doesn't have to be expensive. A library card can teach you every bit as much as a university degree. Speaking of which, library cards are free. They give you access to all kinds of great resources, physical or online. A lot of libraries have shifted from just book repositories. Nothing wrong with a good old paper book. Batteries never run out. They've shifted to knowledge. I'll touch on that in my next point. But they've turned into these knowledge centers with access to books, but also online resources that they pay the subscription fees for you to have access. Think of Medline for medical journals, that kind of thing. They have tool lending. They have maker spaces. I think I talked about that in our 3D printing episode. And they have all kinds of just fantastic resources that are just there for you to ask. Phone books. I know it sounds ridiculous. My wife was really mad when one showed up at our house, but I think they're great. If you lose internet access and or phone access, you still will be able to know where to go to find whatever business it is. And if they're struggling to make sales, get parts out the door, whatever, that's super handy. Failing that, yes, you can use Pages as Firestarter.
Yeah.
read your manuals, know your equipment, how it works, and how to keep it working. Right?
Wait a minute. I don't think we've ever said that on this podcast before.
It's kind of crazy, I know.
Yeah. Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
Come on.
New territory here, I recognize.
That's strange.
So take the time to watch a YouTube video for how to change the spark plugs in your generator or fix simple things in your car. Doesn't cost you anything. It occurred to me that podcasts are actually a great place to learn stuff.
Especially about wood gasifiers.
Exactly. Something that I think is great is international knowledge. In Europe, they call it a lift, but here we call it an elevator. I guess we were just raised differently.
You warned me that was coming somewhere.
I did.
And it happened.
I managed to get it in anyway.
Well done.
Thank you. But in all honesty, knowing the simple differences in terminology, Jeff, you referred to trucks and lorries, right? If you're working from the only resource you can have in a resource limited situation, and it's a European book, and it talks about paraffin. Around here, we say paraffin. I'm thinking candle wax or old school canning technique. They're talking in other parts of the world, it's kerosene. I'm pretty sure my chainsaw is going to behave differently if I put wax in it versus putting fuel in it. So having that, just those little bits of knowledge so that, if something happens and all our news reports are coming from overseas, and knowing that, trucks and lorries are sort of interchangeable terms, that can be handy. I also touched on route planning. I know you mentioned it, Alan, but knowing what's between you and where you might need to get or get home from. I don't condone trespassing on rail lines, but if it's a situation where the trains aren't or can't run, there's some long, flat or very low gradient private corridors for travel, right? That might be a good option in certain situations.
They're generally straight lines and fairly well unobstructed. So.
Yeah, and they're not more than, a 4% grade?
I think so.
So, having those alternate routes, planning routes off the main roads ahead of time just makes sense to me. Having some partway waypoints where you can make a safe stop en route to where you're actually trying to get to. It talks to so much of the stuff we've talked about, building communities. If I have to travel and my route is going to take me past some of you guys, I'm hoping to find a welcome smile and a place where I can carry on, and I'll extend the same invitation to you guys. There's a great quote in the offline chat that prepping isn't about building bunkers and collecting guns. It's about planting gardens and knowing your neighbors and coworkers. Sort of having those resources in that mag.
But it's also not about bunkers and guns, right?
Oh, I would love a 10,000 square foot bunker. Don't get me wrong, but
if it's not about that, boy, have I made some poor decisions in my life.
Yes, the potato garden on top is just to hide the bunker. But in terms of building those communities and that having your local mutual assistance group, knowing the guy 3 doors down fixes small engines, or the woman just up there is a nurse, it helps fill your mag with those competent people. As again, echoing you, Alan, organization doesn't cost a thing, right? I know my garage is a bit of a mess right now. I promise I'll work on that. So much of it is just good habits, though. You keep your cell phone charged. It's our modern Swiss Army knife. You fill your car with gas when it gets to the half tank rather than when the light comes on. Doesn't mean you're using more gas. It just mean it's just ensuring you're going to always have at least a half a tank. Some of those simple little habits that just turn things into automatic in times of stress, so you don't get caught off balance if something does come out of the blue. The whole mindset of you might be responsible to look after you and your family if something happens, right? It doesn't cost anything to change your mindset. Shaking off that continuity bias is just reframing how you look at the world. What assumptions you've made that you didn't even realize you were making, right? We all assume that there's always going to be power from the wall, that there's always going to be gas at the gas station. I think we have enough examples in the news segments to say that's not always the case. So hopefully none of that costs anything. And I didn't even mention my favorite. So
that's impressive. So Ian did put a couple of points in the notes here this evening, even though he decided to not show up. I guess we'll throw his points in. So he's got a point about building community, which we've all touched on, and we've done multiple episodes on mags and getting things started there. Just makes sense. Doesn't cost you anything to go and, like we've said, chat with your neighbor, get to know them. Free swag at sportsman shows. Great point. You can pick up whistles, first aid kits, maps, coupons, informative books, little floating keychains, contacts, right? You name it.
Addresses of places that would be well supplied in the event of a really desperate emergency.
Yeah.
In which you could visit could visit and buy things.
Yeah, or
buy things.
Let your imagination go whatever way you want it to go with that one. Building fire breaks. Great point. Hiking and getting into shape. Again, you can do that without spending any money at all. Maybe prefer that Ian would spend money on some shorts and a t-shirt and not go in the nude, because that would not be good. Yeah, you're welcome for that image, everybody. Reselling and repairing free damaged stuff on Craigslist. I know he's had some luck with doing that, so good point. Cleaning out underbrush, throwing out trash. Yeah, so it gets back to organization. Finding free PDFs online. Yeah. And costs nothing to put spare clothing, blankets, and snacks in your car.
We have a link for a thing in the show notes. It's a place where there's all kinds of PDFs.
It's true.
I can't find it all of a sudden because I'm scrolling too quickly, but it's in there. Survival PDF collection. Go check out the show notes.
Got it, and I'm putting it in the live chat now.
Perfect. Phone book. What the hell, Scott?
Phone books. Those are a thing?
I've never had a phone book in like 5 years.
I'm in my 90s. What do you expect?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Forgot about that. Makes sense then.
Got a rotary dial phone too. What?
Did you have anything to throw in, Jeff?
Yeah, just a couple things. I routinely scan Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace for free or cheap stuff. No, Pierre, I don't steal everything. Just clear on that. I basically got all of my firewood this year for free. All I had to do was cut it and split it myself. Go on there. There's somebody in the next town over who's just had a tree come down. They're like, I need somebody to get rid of it. Hey, if it's free, I'll take it. Yep, come get it. So, I figure that I got about 5 to 6 bush cord of wood, and then grand total of fuel for my vehicle, fuel for my chainsaw, fuel for my splitter, whatever. I maybe spent $250 or $300. So
nice.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, nothing wrong. I think it got brought up, but barter system with your neighbors or somebody. Trade your ability to fix something in exchange for something you need. Food, tools, something. I don't know if really anybody touched on this, but have a garden, indoor or outdoor. Gardens don't cost anything, maybe a little bit of money to buy some seeds, but outside of that, they're free. And I like to have a book. I've got one, I got to find it, but a book or a way of knowing if push comes to shove, what kind of outdoor plants are safe to consume.
Yep.
So mushrooms or other types of plants that if you need to go foraging, you know what's not going to kill you.
Freya's got a good point in the live chat here. Seed swaps. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. Yep.
And just for anybody in the Book of Faces that's watching, it won't let me share the link for the books, unfortunately. So check the show notes for it. Keeps telling me there's an error that occurred. Wait a moment. Try again. I've tried multiple times. Same thing. Facebook jail. Here I come. I think.
We said extremist too many times.
We did. Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I mean, I'm not, but I'll say it because I'm polite.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and just my following up on my comment for like scanning Kijiji Marketplace, you would be surprised what what things people just say, here it is, come and get it.
Yep.
You'd be amazed what you can find on there. It's not just junk. I mean, people are getting rid of, shelving units and
I
all kinds of
genuinely
other
can't
stuff.
give away a full wood stove. Works perfectly, a little rusty on the outside, but has a Warnock Hershey label on it. It's fine. It just needs to be wet tested to connect it to a new chimney. I literally can't give it away.
I'll take it.
I've tried.
I'll
Come and
take
get it.
There you go.
Come and get it. I don't want it in my backyard anymore.
All right, I'm going to sign off. Have a good night, guys.
There we go. So, Brad has disappeared on us, but he did have a couple of points in the notes here about collecting pallet wood. Makes sense. Lots of businesses around here, at least. I'm sure everywhere else as well, are always looking to get rid of some pallets.
Oh yeah.
So,
drive around any industrial area, you'll generally see a stack at the road that says free.
Yep.
Please take it. Don't hurt yourself.
Yep, pretty much. So yeah, that's doesn't cost you anything but the gas to drive the vehicle to go grab it. Knowledge on repairing, building anything for barter, which we've touched on already, but seems to be a pretty popular point. Knowledge is an important thing to have.
Absolutely.
He says you can offer your labor to someone else. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Maybe not in labor, but labor in general.
But yeah, just help people out, and then hopefully you can use that as a bartering thing to obtain something that you need as well. And picking up from the roadside trash for some usables. So, on big garbage pickup day or anything like that, where people are putting stuff out that they don't want, maybe there's something there that you could repurpose, or maybe people just don't realize the value in what they've put on the curb, and you do. Take advantage of it.
Also, if you're doing that, especially if you live in the country, go check the ditches, pick up all the returnable alcohol beverages alcohol containers that you can. You can actually make money doing that and use that for whatever you like.
And it's exercise too.
That too.
Perfect. I think that brings us to the podcast challenge.
Pick 1, 2, 10, 100 things that you can do that don't cost anything or cost very little. Put them into place or put them into action. Let us know what you did by emailing us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. We'd love to hear about it. We had lots of other ideas in the live chat. If there's anything else we missed, let us know. We'd love to talk about it in an upcoming episode.
Absolutely.
I feel like we're going to need to do an entire follow-up episode because there are going to be so many good ideas.
I would love that.
We just didn't touch on.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That'd be fantastic.
I would love to do a follow-up episode on this and find out what everybody else has done. You don't have to be specific, right? We don't want to. If you want to come on the air and talk about it, that's great. Let us know. We'd love to have you here. Scott was a listener. I was a listener that came on, and Scott's a listener that came on, and Jeff's a listener that came on ish, and Brad, and we love having you on the show. If you want to come on, let's talk about it. If not, just let us know what you did, even on a very high level, and give other people ideas. We'd love that too.
And you don't have to sign your name to it either. Lots of people send things in and either, let us know what their name is and just ask to stay anonymous, or they just simply send it anonymously and we never know who they are, but at least it's good information that we can get out to everybody else.
And we love alliterative names. If you feel so inclined and you're feeling a little creative, make an alliterative sign off, and that will lend to the puns in the show.
Absolutely will. I will happily read out whatever name you want to send my way within reason.
Within reason. Challenge accepted.
Well, with that, shall we move into upcoming events?
Nothing. The whole world is shutting back down again.
Yeah. MapleseedRifleman.com/events. If there's something in there, we don't know.
If there's something there. Yeah, we don't know.
I think they're winding down now too.
I wouldn't count on much of anything until spring again.
Yeah. Deal of the week, as Scott types furiously away.
Canadian Tire. Just buy things that are on sale. Don't ever pay full price for things at Canadian Tire.
Well, when I'm looking at the flyer, I'm like, oh wow, a screwdriver set that's normally $130 is on sale for $25.
That's a really good price.
Yeah,
that's because 100 people that they suckered into buying it at full price have finally bought it, so now they're putting it on sale.
Well, that's very thoughtful of them. And if our listeners want to go out and get a nice big set of screwdrivers at 80% off, I'm of the opinion you can never have too many screwdrivers. But
sure.
I end up buying one of those sets about every year, and I give them away to people to, my kids. I'm building toolboxes for them so when they move out on their own, they won't be completely helpless. And one of the great things about Mastercraft, right, is even if you break something, just go back and get another one. It's all got a lifetime warranty on it. I have screwdrivers in my kit that I used professionally for 10 years, and the handles all got chewed up and got really nasty. I took them back. I literally walked into a Canadian Tire. They said, "Yeah, that kind of looks like one we used to sell. Sure, go pick out another one." And I walked right out with it. It's really easy to get down on Canadian Tire for their low cost goods, for their out of country manufacturing, for whatever it is, but they take really, really good care of their customers. So
episode 131 is brought to you by. All right, let's move out into shout outs. And Alan, if you say Canadian Tire, you're punted.
I'll try this time. A couple of weeks ago, I was trying to shout out our good friend Ethan. He and his better half are they've been listening to our shows while they're off grid and driving around the country. They're up in the Northern Territories right now, and wish I could be out there. The pictures and stuff that he's sending out are just absolutely phenomenal. The wildlife, the scenery, the adventures they're having are fantastic. He was actually able to tune into an episode a few weeks back. Not sure if he's going to hear this now or in a couple of months, but he's downloaded all of our shows and he's listening to them as they drive around. So, nice. Ethan Cayley, hi. Can't wait to see you back. And that's who I've got. Also, nice. Canadian Tire. Shout out to Canadian Tire. Keep preppers happy.
Oh boy. I'm not going to punch you, but I'm just going to shake my head in shame.
Shout out to Ian, who isn't here.
Yeah. He decided to not show up this evening or multiple evenings for whatever reason.
It's because we'll leave that up. Fun of them.
We'll leave that up to the listener's imagination as to why he's not here.
There's some excellent suggestions.
There were some guesses up there with like CSIS and CIA. And,
yes.
I mean, nobody yet has guessed that Ian and I are actually the same person, and just had multiple feeds on.
Could be.
Interesting.
Kyle in the live chat wants to throw out a shout out to part-time contributor Ian. Well done, Kyle. Well done.
Kyle, if you email me, Alan at prepperpodcast.ca, I will send you a patch.
Oh, jeez. Well, before this gets completely out of control, I'll bring episode number 131 of the Canadian Prepper podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, of course, your favorite podcast app. Please help us out. Submit a review. Maybe take a rip at Ian if you want as well. It helps other people find us.
We do record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube, although Facebook, we keep getting closer and closer to bans, so who knows. If you do want an early peek at the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That will give you an alert when we are going live. I assume the same thing happens on Facebook, and hopefully that will still happen. We'll see how it goes next week. To reach me directly, it's Alan, that's with 1L, at prepperpodcast.ca.
Where can everybody find you, Jeff?
Just feedback at prepperpodcast.ca.
Also, that one also works for me. Feedback at prepperpodcast.ca in case you want to talk about, like big metal things that, make useful things.
You can reach Scott at gasifiers at prepperpodcast.ca.
Do we have that set up yet? I've been waiting for that.
Maybe. We'll see. So Ian's got a bunch of stuff in here in regards to how you can reach him if he ever decides to come back. You can email him at theislandretreat@gmail.com. Give him a rough time about not showing up. That'd be great. For myself, check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. Thanks for joining us this evening. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep